At least one of our teams only goes, they're not a team.
Oh, still bitter.
I'm like, you told me we had to root for both. Doesn't that mean that?
I think we had a large case of reality set in.
I don't know. The defense
Oh,
didn't look
pretty.
like.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it, Rich. I think that
No,
there was an adjustment that was
We
probably
got
coming.
exposed offensively and the.
Well,
all the things that are
offensively,
our
I know that
deficiencies, they
there's
found.
kind of a struggle, but their defense didn't look as good as they have all year.
No, I
It's like
agree.
something was
I
off.
agree with that.
That was not good.
Multiple quarterbacks, lots of confusion on the field, and that will do it. You get used to one thing and it changes, it's like, oh no,
I couldn't believe that they went from number 2 like to number,
11.
but Penn State moved up. Like, I don't know.
That'll sort itself out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, it didn't surprise me that they weren't in the top 10.
Well, I knew
'Cause
that.
I don't think they
then
should
when
have
I
been
heard
number
Penn
2.
State, I'm like,
I don't-
really?
I
I better watch what I say.
No,
You're live now.
I'm an
Yeah, I know
avid fan. I'm an avid fan, and I would tell you, we're probably right where we need to be right now.
I think probably there's a lot of people thought something.
This contract.
The one that Dean had me forward
Yeah.
you guys, I don't think so. I would let John see that.
Oh, John hasn't seen it. Okay.
No, I just got it Friday.
All right, yeah, then we better not.
I'm assuming you hopefully don't have a chance to see that this weekend.
I had to,
Yeah, we just it needs to be on Monday. Because I think they want to start them first.
well, I just took it, I thought Susan would have done. Must have.
I should add a quarterly report for the ambulance too.
I already got that. Yeah. Yeah, I talked to him on Friday.
You didn't do much. I did.
She did.
There's 40 that you would
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
like.
You hear the sound of progress?
Yeah, driveway, parking lot.
People walking
Dig it
through
up.
that little lake.
And then it's all different depths too. Want to join me in the pledge allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Okay, first thing we have is the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions, corrections to the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
So moved and second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next is the approval of minutes from last week. I thought they read well. I'll make a motion that those be approved.
Just for just the October one.
Well, that auction that they have, both. Monday.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, the first thing we have is John. Why don't you have a chair for the front?
I'm a Seahawks fan and I was up late last night watching them move, so I got the Iowa talk. Overtime loss. All right, so you guys had a discussion a little bit about the COVID vaccine revenue we received, and I just wanted to kind of break through an accounting on that. First thing I'd like to share though is our income statement for public health through June, which is our fiscal year end. And this was shared with the Board of Health, but we're gonna be good to. So this is what was referenced at 62,206. That is the amount of revenue that we did receive through the COVID vaccine through March or through June. Sorry. Total revenue has been of 349,000. You can see grants and other. A large portion of those grants are through the HOPES program, which helps mothers and babies and those types of things that Sarah Skinner and her team run. And then going through the salaries and everything else, there was an uptick in salaries, and I'll go over that with the COVID vaccine here in a moment. So we had a total direct expense of 371,000. Then our overhead type of expenses that we use from an allocation perspective, things like utilities, IT, administrative time, those types of things, and the additional indirect expense of 54,000. So a total expense of 426,000, which ends up as a deficit for us of 76,000. I do have a 3-year total here that shows it was a little bit better than 2020 for us, where we lost 91,000, and then 2019 deficit was 110,000. So that's our total, everything coming in through June. And then with that, I'm just gonna go through a pretty detailed breakdown of the COVID vaccine and everything there. There were additional funds that were received after June, and I'll walk you through that. So I'll just go page by page here. If you have questions, please just jump up and let me know. So as I mentioned, in June, we received 62,205.70, and then there were additional funds received in July, August, and September. So the total received to date through September 30th is 107,634. And then next page, I apologize for the small print. We tried to get everything on here. These are all of the vaccine clinics that were run from December through February. And what I did from a cost perspective is I only took the percent of doses that were given outside of St. Anthony employees. So we were also doing St. Anthony employees. You know, healthcare workers were phase 1 as first part of the state's plan. So I took out anything that was St. Anthony there and allotted everyone's time. So you can see the number of people that worked in the clinics. I have their names. I do have salaries pulled out individually for them. But the total at the end for those clinics, just on salaries and benefits, was $11,396. So that took us through clinics that went through February 11th. And the next page is really where it starts to get pretty busy. You can see the number of employees that were involved here. And these were all of the clinics that happened between March and June that were either on-site clinics or the mass clinic that was done at the Westgate Mall. So total hours involved in there were 1,610 hours total for a total expense of $79,000. You can see all the names and positions. There were some in there. For example, pharmacist, it was a rotating pharmacist that had to do the mix and do everything from there. So I just left that as a generic without the individual names. And some departments help staff these things. So for example, radiology and admissions helped out in certain days. Our quality management department, there were a number of factors that we kind of just put all hands on deck and rotated everyone because there were so many clinics and obviously we had other operations going on. The next page is the J&J vaccine clinic. And that was only one clinic done. And there were a total of 70 hours dedicated to that, which on a salary and benefit cost was $1,855.93. Moving on to the next, there were a number of times where staff went to assisted living areas, nursing homes, those types of places for living to get the vaccine administered at a site basis because they couldn't make the trips themselves. So I broke out any clinics there. You can see they went to Journey Senior Living, Garden View, Orchard View, Stonebridge, Thomas Rest Haven, Regency Park, Acura, and Sunnybrook, all on different dates. Not a huge amount of hours there, 57.75 hours for a total expense of $1,838. Next page, they did some school vaccine clinics. So you can see we had IKM, Manning, Coon Rapids, Carroll High, everything there. I think there were 2 at each one. Obviously, they had the first clinic and then the second shots that were administered from there. And then total hours spent there was 60. I didn't include any travel hours or any time in there. I just took the actual hours that were actually at the clinic. So a total expense of $1,663. And then phone room hours is kind of a hidden cost. And when you're not expecting these things, but we had to have people man a phone basically 95 to be able to set up these vaccine clinics. A big part of that was, if we were only getting 500 vaccines, we had to make sure we only had 500 people coming. So there was a lot of work on the phone side, scheduling, trying to get any answering the typical medical or asking the typical medical questions, those types of things on a pre-screening perspective. So then when they got in there, they would be ready to go. So a total amount of time spent on that was almost 500 hours, 497 hours, and a total cost of $8,440. Next page, minimal supply costs. All we did was a printing. Those you that had the vaccine, you got a 2-page, a 3-page sheet that kind of showed anything you had, you had reactions to be ready. We printed that for every single person who had the vaccine just for a safety perspective, so they could have that. And then they sat in the room for 15 minutes. The billing expense, spent about 160 hours of doing the billing process. It was a very manual process. Our billers had to go onto a portal and manually do it. Typically with our own system through our medical, electronic medical record system, these things are automated. This was not an automated process at all, so they had to manually take the information that was written down and punch it into a portal and go through there. So every single one had to be hand keyed, so it was a pretty slow process. Total of 160 hours involved there. Next, we did use space within our hospital that was not designated for public health. We used what used to be our radiology department, which is a total of 5,000 square feet, so it could be enough room. We had a total number of days of clinic in that of 47. Our market rate, which is what we charge our tenants, we have a number of tenants, so I took that and I just took half the price of market, determining that obviously we weren't looking to make a profit on this, we were just looking to do the job. But if we would have rented it, that would have been double that amount. So $6,000 total there. So then this last page breaks up everything, kind of in a clean outlook. You can see the $107,000 was the cost of the total, or the amount we were reimbursed in total. And then net loss from that, or actually total expenses out to $113,000. So we ended up losing about $5,400. So there's no money sitting aside from these vaccine clinics. It was all used for the purpose of this. And then I gave some key stats down here. We did have 4 mass clinics. Those were done offsite. We had 8 different offsite clinics, from schools to assisted livings. We had 47 onsite clinics for a total of 71 total clinics. The total hours dedicated to clinics from our staff was 235, and we used more than 70 different employees. And I can't applaud our staff enough. I mean, 70 different people stepped up and handled this. And then I did pull where we're at as a county overall. And as of this morning on the state website, on 18 years plus, we're 71% back, which is the 5th highest in the state. And then 65 plus, we're 96.3%, which is the 3rd highest in the state. And really, that couldn't have been done without those 70 employees stepping up and doing everything. So to people like Nikki and Sarah, the countless hours they worked on setting all this up and scheduling it, it was impressive. So any other staff involved too. But I just wanted to show, I mean, there was discussion, there was some funds sitting left over. It took a village to get all these clinics done and get this many people vaccinated. And we wanted to show the clear account. I also want to open up the lines if there's any questions, obviously. And in the future, if there's questions, potential stuff going on, we're more than happy to share. I know we've been doing this for a long time, so we have had a bit of a routine, I guess. But typically there haven't been a ton of questions from Board of Supervisors. So if there are any questions on the accounting side, how we're billing or how we're doing anything, please don't hesitate to ask us.
I can start. First of all, I appreciate this. Me being the second newest supervisor. Going forward, I would like to see probably this more, just because I enjoy knowing where the money is going and things like that, especially as we're responsible for answering to the taxpayers.
Sure.
So I appreciate this, but going forward, I'd like to do it.
Routine basis.
Yeah,
And
just to keep the lines of communication.
And obviously the vaccine clinic was a unique thing. So we're not going to have this type of thing every year. As far as this goes, this is shared typically with the Board of Health, but I could certainly come here and present quarterly or every 6 months or whatever the preference would be.
Well, I think it'd be nice to have like this here, particularly the budget. And
Absolutely.
maybe I would say on your case, I would think every 6 months would be added.
Okay, sure.
And let's hope we don't have another year.
Yeah,
Hope not.
I think that the biggest thing is so we know
Yeah.
where it's, like you said, we know where it's at, so we can answer questions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then I think we've missed that over the years of probably the education and sharing of where everything is.
Probably the fact that we just got lax.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Follow
routine.
through.
And I think everything we did, I mean, I know there was some concern of us billing for the vaccines, but really, our goal was saving taxpayers. There really, if you look at it, there were 3 options. We could have come back to the county and asked for money to handle these vaccines. We could have just eaten the cost to St. Anthony, which, as a CFO, I don't like eating the cost of $113,000. Or we could have went through this process and billing. There has been discussion that the money would have went over to the county. However, because we are contracted with these insurance companies and everything else, the county wouldn't be able to do that. You can't bill for Medicare unless you have these contracts. You can't bill for Blue Cross, United, those types of things. You have to be credentialed, you have to have a DEA number, all these different types of things. So it wouldn't have been possible for the county to actually bill for these services. And my take is it's much better to go through these billion-dollar insurance companies that they're required to take the vaccine than go to the taxpayers.
Well-
Let's touch on that subject just a little bit. You were talking about you have to have contracts with these, so able to bill. We could possibly, it would take us a layer of personnel and
Yeah, take your layer of personnel and you have to actually establish this contract. So there'd be time you have to start a new contract is a multi-month project. So say a new payer's coming in and they're a Medicare Advantage program. For example, Wellmark's going to be adding a Medicare Advantage area. We're still in the contract side of that with them, and that's been going on for 6 months. There's just an ongoing type of process to be able to bill for healthcare services. It's convoluted, it's unnecessarily complex, but that's the way it is.
Now that you bring it up, would that work with us, because we can bill through the ambulance?
I don't know if you
I
have
mean,
those
that would,
contracts.
I just, thinking
Yeah.
about, that'd be
So
the only way we.
That
do
could
it.
possibly be the only way, but you have to be set up for different types of services too.
Yeah.
So because our scope at St. Anthony is so large in all that we do, we're able to just utilize our existing contracts.
That's what I was thinking, maybe because our scope is narrow.
But
just
there-
I
ambulance.
would think you're,
But there again, that's an outside contract that we have. It's no different than an outside, basically an outside contract we have. It's 601 now.
Well, we get the, we get this at budget time every year when John presents, but John hasn't presented the last 2 years. So
correct.
we haven't gotten this the last 2 years.
Any other questions?
And I can make a routine every 6 months or so.
Any questions from the public? Okay.
We talk about every 6 months. I think I'd probably like to see a report somewhere. Budget season.
That's what I said, one of the.
So we're talking about yearly, year on.
Well, I mean, we can do this monthly if need be.
Well,
so-
no, I'm just for information, so we can, when we hit the budget season, we have this information. And I think that would probably be good, maybe in December.
Well-
January.
Courtney, you send out requests to all
Well, they
the,
go to the nonprofits. I don't know if St. Anthony gets one of those letters. I don't think they do because
Okay.
it's different. But preferably this would be a good time of year, November.
And that's what I'm
Get
trying
into
to get
January
aligned,
and
but I
then
don't
we
want
kind
to
of have things finalized at that point. So
financial things that you need to get done.
And we can make it work, whatever, you guys need every week, so I'm certain we can find some.
And for budget purposes, the main thing you guys need is
Or and where we're at with
Ben, we're getting some feedback in here.
I think that's probably Doc's wrong. Oh, he's not.
So then you're looking at in 6 months from now, roughly, and then continue, because it's kind of nice to have this now, like Courtney was saying, it's better now than. You can even do the money.
Sure. This is a good measuring stick going into this period. As
Well,
we start,
that's what we've been missing.
as we start, yeah.
You know what you're missing, and so if you don't, then straighten out expectations, and expectations too.
Well, this is good. Thanks, John, for this. I'll go ahead and make sure that it gets passed on to the Board of Health. And I'm sure the review will probably scrutinize this a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, well, absolutely, and like, we'll be completely open book for the review, so we look forward to any requests they have.
Sure.
Thank you, appreciate it, John.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy your week.
Okay, next we have. What are we recording?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Looking at the Q1, 2021-22. The transfer fees, deeds, those type of fees that stay with the county here from this year and the previous last year are, I mean, one of the closest I've seen since I've started. So there's really, I mean, a give and take here and there, but the final numbers are just almost identical to a year ago this
About
year.
$550.
Yeah, not too much. That's one of the closest I feel like I've seen out of. So, revenue stamps are up. That's just, you know, house taxes on house. Mortgages are actually down a little bit from last year. We kind of been watching that. It's kind of fun watching everyone refinance right now. Similar. And then on the state fees side, it's up a bit, again, just in the revenue stamps, that part that goes, portion that goes to the state on that. Otherwise, everything else is just, again, very similar. So there's not a lot of change from this year to that last year. Are there any questions or anything about that you noticed?
No, like you said, there's not a lot of change.
It's just very similar. Yeah, it's one of the most similar ones I've seen yet.
You know, coming through the COVID year, I thought maybe we'd see some swings, but we really didn't, and I was pretty amazed with that.
Yeah,
And I'm glad for it. I mean, it meant that the public out there was staying pretty consistent to what they're doing.
I agree.
Have you had a lot of traffic in the office?
Yeah, I feel like traffic has been up. Just, we've got ATV off-road vehicle renewals going right now. People are coming in for hunting. License tags, hunting season's coming, so it has been busy, which is, I always just like seeing people.
I just didn't know, because they also offer, because you can get some of those services online. I didn't know
Yeah,
if people
you
were switching
can.
to that or not.
I'm not gonna say they're not, that'll be,
I see that was down a little bit.
it is down just ever so, well, actually, it's just down ever so slightly,
Yeah.
so yeah. I think people still like to come in because they print their tags right there versus trying to have it mailed to them when they're trying to tag their deer. They don't have to wait for it in the mail.
Any other questions? Or is there a motion to approve or accept the quarter report?
Second.
Then move to second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
And then I've seen your email. You plan on attending that meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Is that just via Zoom? Yes. Yes. Thanks, Ash. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have plats. And there's 3 in here.
How many do you guys have? Two?
I have Neil,
I have
I
three.
have two.
I have two,
Three. So
Neil Bach.
I'm guessing that the one.
Oh,
I got
Shana-
three.
There's
I got
three.
three.
Is
Yep,
there?
I do
Okay.
have three.
There's one for Doug Steinkamp, one for Neil Bach, and then also for
Shane.
Shaner. Now, that Shaner one, I didn't see until it came out with your stuff.
Well, why don't we hold off on that one then? Because you guys will get an email once it's, because I just did it because I thought by the time that we met today, that it would have gone through GIS and PNC, but I haven't gotten anything. And if you guys haven't gotten the email you normally get, why don't we hold
No,
off on
yeah.
that one until next week?
Now, I'm questioning, there was one a week ago. I don't know if we approved that one in our minutes or not. I can't remember. That was.
But,
Let me look, maybe I can tell you.
so I would have assumed with the Shaner one, we should wait until. our pushing else.
And that maybe that's why we didn't have it. The one I was thinking about.
Justin Schrader.
Sounds familiar.
He was on, I mean, I saw one come through from him, but I don't think it was last week. I don't remember if we
For some reason it jumped off. Okay, maybe we did that in my mind. I'll help you. Okay, we'll just do them two then today.
Doug Stein.
Huh?
I can have Doug Stein.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the name. Yeah.
Yeah,
10
Did we do that one?
We're doing one today.
that's thank you. Yeah, I don't think we approved Doug Steinkamp.
But there was one, okay. There's another one. I'll look on it. I can't find it. Okay, so we got the one for Neil Bach and Doug Steinkamp today.
And you're looking for approval, just those two.
Just those two. And we're gonna hold off on the other one. So,
I'll make that motion.
is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we have is Elder Bridge 2080 agreement. This goes back to, they are suggesting now that we have 2080s for these nonprofits, and so Elder Bridge has come up with their own one, and they're wanting us to approve that, and John has looked at that.
Yeah, John was fine with this. Being this is a multi-county agreement, he was okay with the 2080. He is looking into possibly doing something different for like all the other nonprofits, like Food Pantry and all those, for example. Kind of have it just a blanket one that we can use for each entity, stating that they're providing services for county residents and not that the Board of Supervisors is just giving them a donation. So you gotta make that, you gotta make that clear in writing that you're giving them money for services, not for just a donation. So with all the people that we are giving money to, we'll have to have something like that.
Was part of the conversation that the person and I kind of think they may have known what they were talking about. We can only enter into one with, it's a governmental agency. So if they're not government, we can't do it.
Well,
Is that's how he interpreted it, and I don't know.
I wasn't sure the right way to go about it, but John was looking into it.
I think she's right, though. I think as long as it doesn't necessarily have to be a government thing. If
Well, and
they're
it's not gonna
providing
be a
service-
2080. It's gonna be like, maybe possibly like a memorandum of understanding or something, yeah. But John thought we could come up with something that was, one we could use for everybody other than something like this. And Region 12 will probably be a different animal because it's multi-county. like this is, but I can't remember what he called it that he was looking into, but
Isn't Elder Bridge also driven by a board and are they a part of a wing of a government somewhere?
They're actually not a, oh, I don't know, you want to call them a quasi government type thing. They provide services and they get money through federal government and the state for providing those services to the elderly.
But they also have accountability.
They also have a board.
Yes.
And, yeah, and I think everything that we do has some sort of board that we might. Or some sort of, I mean, whether that be a Main Street project or whatever, some sort of board. I think the big thing is they want you to prove that they're providing service to taxpayers of the county. And like Cory says, it's not just a donation. There needs to be, I think, part of this, there also that application, they need to make sure they are providing financial records. Which is what we have requested in the past.
and those letters have been sent out
And
already.
some of them we are maybe, we're not the most accurate.
So we've
So we
already
may have to tighten that up.
sent out those requests to them, because we do that every year at the same time, so it may be once John comes up with what we need to do, that we have to send out additional information, but
So my next question is then, should we step back from this so we can talk to see if this would fall into,
The
he wants
John's
to
okay with
categorize?
this.
He's okay with it.
he's okay with this one
But
being a 2080 because it's a multi-county type of program or something like that. He
It's not
said,
within- it's just a multi.
yeah, so he said for like the food pantry and the daycares and those other places that are just Carroll County businesses, that we should come up with maybe just something that we can use for all of them. You know,
Okay.
that they all are going to use the same type of form. And that would be something that they would have to, you guys would have to approve every year, I would assume. He was fine with this. He's had it for a couple of weeks and
okay,
Yeah, I see this, like you said, I think Region 12 will be another one that will do something like this. We probably new opportunities to do some multi-county, or we get a multi-county thing. You know, it would have been probably if you're Rolling Hills, until the state took it over. But if we'd been going down that path, in the future, we'd probably been something like this. They're multi-county.
the Iowa workforce thing is got me a little concerned what it's going to be, but we don't put money into it, but I think we were also a pass through for some of the state funding. With it, but I don't know if that will continue.
so, you know, I can think of the daycares, food pantry, family resource center, which they had asked for money last year. The domestic abuse, family crisis center. And there again, the family crisis center is in the county.
The probably the one that we won't have in the library is because our code is supposed to support.
Which is fair of all
Fair would fall under this.
in the code for underneath that.
I think so, because the money that the county gives the fair is typically designated for 4-H. And that, you know, if you look at the budget, it comes under
Mhm.
4-H something, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there's a line on the budget specifically for that. It just so happens that that's run by the fair.
If the library's percentage.
Per capita. It is-
Well, we set that, or they've come to request. We are required, I think, to pay a certain millage to libraries.
It's in the code that we pay, yeah.
Yeah.
Comes out of rural services.
Any other questions on this? So they just want a motion on this, or?
Yeah, I need a motion to authorize the chair to sign the agreement, and then I'll forward it back to Shelley and.
This is a great organization. They do a lot more force than you get with them.
If Scott, and the rest of you have heard me say this, and maybe Scott has been through the movie. This is the one that you don't argue with. What our return on our investment in this is just a minute.
So close to $8 to $10 million. It's a really good investment. I'll make a motion that we authorize the chair to sign the Elton Ridge 2080 agreement.
Second.
Been moved and second to authorize the chair to sign the Yellow Bridge 2080 agreement. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried.
And I misspoke, they've already signed the agreement.
Yeah, they
So, I'm gonna pass this over to you.
Okay. Okay, next we have manure management annual updates. We have Sherry Brooks, section 14, Washington Township. They made other changes. They basically mothballed it. Sylvia, I understand. D&D Clucky, section 22, Eden Township. They're using manure analysis. Okay, next we'll have committee reports.
I know. Last week, we had SCA, or Tuesday morning, we had landfill meeting. In Rich, they had 80,000 in recyclables, over 80,000. I think that might be a record month that they sold. Wednesday was SEH meeting here. This week, Thursday, I have landfill meeting. Again, I have a special meeting, and then the jail meeting Thursday also, and then Thursday afternoon's decategorization.
I can go next. Last week I had the conservation board meeting, of which only one board member showed up, so I don't know what was going on. Anyway, so we're gonna throw everything, I guess Jason's gonna throw everything into next month.
So I got that building tore down, that 2-car garage.
Yeah.
Gone.
And then on Wednesday had spatial needs assessment meeting. I thought that went very well. I thought we made some headways there, and I thought everyone gave good direction as to where we might want to go. I thought it was a good meeting. This week, I don't have anything. I'm sure there'll be something will come up, but I have nothing today.
Last week I had Wesco on Monday. Everything's going really well there right now. They're just continually having the staffing issues. And they're running a campaign to recruit, retain staff. We also discussed every year we do a bonus around Christmas time, and they do have the money. So we did approve to do a bonus again this year to kind of help retain the staff that they have. Just like everybody else, they're looking and searching for people to work. Then I had the newspaper and radio, and that was it for last week. And then this week I have daycare today.
I guess I also had the Highway 30 Coalition meeting Thursday morning. I don't think there was anything really there that stuck out to me. But sometimes we just rehash the same old stuff. But all that's going to take years, So if you can knock off little bits and pieces once in a while.
Well, I'll go next then, I guess.
Okay.
Monday was, or this week was kind of a busy week for me. Actually, a lot of fires to put out, truthfully. So Monday after the board meeting, I spent most of the rest of the day out of new opportunities. And then, of course, we had a little small issue here on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I attended the SE Station Needs meeting. And I agree with Dean, we probably got some headways there on that thing. And then on Thursday, I also attended the Highway 30 meeting. And probably the most boring meeting I went to since I've ever listened to them. I mean, there was nothing there. Friday, I was supposed to have the Yes Center board meeting, that got canceled due to harvest. So this week I have a CADC on Tuesday, and Thursday a jail progress meeting again. And Friday, the Yes Center has been rescheduled to Friday, so that's my week.
All right, last week, had the SEH meeting. A little different twist on it. I thought the meeting was okay. I don't think it was great. I did also have two concerns on drain 77. Made some contact with the county engineer. We had pretty good conversation on it. Just want to inform the board that will not go away. That will be something we will be attacking in the near future. We have some issues, and we also have some responsibility to help make sure that that moves forward. So today I have the paper and the radio. Tomorrow I have CADC, and I will try to attend the jail meeting, but I most likely will be late.
I will not get.
I want.
How did last Wednesday go? Was it fun?
Went fine.
Okay.
You they didn't throw me out.
We'll also, Rich talked about the drain. I did get a phone call on that.
Which one is that?
It's the one that runs through Carroll.
Drain 77 is the one that cuts through. Yeah, and if, in all fairness, if you get a chance, drive it, walk it, some of it, so you get a good idea of what's going on.
From 18 going south or?
I'd say from 18th go west, going down behind Marcella Heights and that area down into the Fish Bowl, and then north of Grant. Grant Park.
Yeah.
There's been a complaint from quite a while back, not quite a while back, but a while back, that Zach and I have talked about it a couple of times.
Which way from 12th Street when you cross the bridge there?
That would be back just to the south. Okay. Just to the south. There's 3 or 4 houses in there. Yeah. So it's one of the right in there. But as you walk down through there, you'll kind of get a gist of there are trees that need to be trimmed, cut, killed, probably not removed. Maybe the brush removed, but not the root base. The bank could become too destabilized. There's one place that's very close to the road. I think we should be real careful what we do across there, because we can create the city with an issue.
So Grant Road or the 12th Street?
That was on the Marcella Heights.
Oh.
It takes a real bend in towards the street and the bottom of the Fish Bowl there, they call it Fish Bowl. But there's from swimming pools to baby dolls to just trash, junk, tires.
And I think from this phone call I had, some of the issue is also created from east of Grant Road.
Now, we also probably need to work with the city on this to make sure they're heads up what may or may not happen.
This individual was kind of concerned that nothing was being done. I reassured him that just Monday, Zach had brought it to our attention. So
Is it dumping basically?
Yeah, just
Okay.
stuff being dumped and then washing down, and we haven't had any gully washers to really clean it out, so it's there late. And it's a tough project. If you think about how it's going to get fixed, it's going to be a tough project.
Courtney, anything?
I got a couple things, so I'll talk first about next week. So we've got Interfund transfers, I'm gonna bring that election equipment proposal to you, so you can take a look at that. We'll have that Stephen Group contract, and then the ambulance quarterly report. It's also bill day. I'm gonna put a little word out, and maybe you guys can help. So we have an election on the 2nd of November. Getting workers is going pretty well, but I'm struggling in Litterdale and Arcadia. I need some people there. So if you guys know of anybody, saying this at a public meeting, so maybe somebody will hear it.
Newspaper, radio.
My concern, and I've talked to the city clerk of both towns, let Arcadia know that if I don't have enough, that they'll possibly have to vote in Albert or Breda. And Litterdale would probably have to go to Glidden to vote if I can't find enough people. So,
One of our kids. Some other issues taken care of.
so Litterdale, I'm a little close. I have 2 people willing to work. I just need 1 more.
How many years short of that?
At this, as of right now, 2. Otherwise, all the other precincts look good. So,
Let me ask you this question. Do they have to be from that precinct to work there?
no, they just have to be a registered voter
Okay, I will mention.
or an
that.
eligible.
I'll
to
mention
be
it in the
registered.
radio and paper. Kind of help.
Now, sometimes I have people that live in another city that live in Carroll.
Okay.
It's totally fine.
So, and this is for the city and
City school,
school, and that's an all-day election.
yep, November 2nd, polls open at 7, they close at 8. I know it's a pain when you want to go vote and you can't vote in where you live. So, I don't like to do that, but I'm required to have 3 people, so if I can't get 3 people, I don't have much of a choice.
That's usually enough of an incentive to find somebody.
I think so. I mean, we've had that happen before where we've had a polling place not open, and then I've got a lot of people saying, hey, we want our polling place, will work. That's great. Because to be honest with you, aside from the equipment, it doesn't cost a lot of money to have those people working at an election. I mean, you're talking a few $100s, to pay them to be there, and the equipment's probably the most expensive thing,
But you do have one at Arcade that's been very familiar with the process.
well, yeah, he's worked several elections, and I've got a couple feelers out for a couple other people. I just haven't heard from them over there, but we're getting close here. We've got training next week, so if they want to work, I'd like to get them to say yes this week, so they can come to training. Anyway, that's my plea for
That's
the
your plea?
public. Yes.
Which is going to take care of it.
Try to hit them both ways.
Yeah, and really for all elections, anybody that's interested. We had a lot of people step up for the presidential election, which was
And-
great, but these are important too. So I want people to remember that too. And I mean, people know it, but it's just as hard to find people to work at the little elections like this as it is the presidential.
Well, that's good that you can move them from different polling places too, so.
Yeah, and if we get enough people at a certain precinct, you may not have to work every single election that comes up. You may just work every other one or something. So,
Any comments from those in attendance or online?
No comments online.
Anybody else have any? Otherwise, we're in order for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I-
Contrary, motion carried.